Well, the Kremlin has said that Vladimir Putin is ready to send a delegation to Minsk for talks on the invasion of Ukraine. Armen Georgian, our international affairs editor, joins me now in the studio for more on that. Armen, what is the background to this declaration?
So the Kremlin has said that it's willing to hold talks with the Ukrainian leadership on Ukraine's future in Belarus. Just to remind everybody, Belarus, of course, is not a neutral space to have such a discussion. What is the background to this is that Volodymyr Zelenskiy, the Ukrainian president, he gave an address this Friday morning, and he said, we are not afraid of Russia, and we're not afraid to talk to Russia, talk about everything, security guarantees for our country and a neutral status, but we are not in NATO now. What security guarantees will we have? Which countries will give them? So in other words, he's not excluding the idea of a neutral status, but it would have to come with security guarantees. And this is, of course, the big sticking point politically with Russia, because Russia would clearly oppose any NATO countries essentially being able to give Ukraine military guarantees. So it seems like a fairly sort of dead-end idea, but we'll have to see, obviously, if if anyone does actually agree to go to Minsk to have these talks or not.
And Armen, do you think that this is a genuine overture? Vladimir Putin has been accused by several Western leaders of essentially disingenuous attempts at diplomacy. Is this any different? Well,
of course, he's held weeks of talks with the German and French chancellors, with the other officials, and all the while he was planning this massive attack on Ukraine. So obviously, anyone entertaining the idea of a meeting in Belarus would have to be very, very careful. I mean, I've already seen things on social media suggesting, that if Zelensky actually went, he'd simply be arrested, and that gets rid of one of Russia's major problems in Kiev of what to do about the leadership. Could it be also a tactic to buy time, simply for Russia to get more troops in position, both in Belarus and on the eastern border of Ukraine, or to get more, naval ships maneuvering? That's also, of course, possible. Is it an attempt to create splits within the Ukrainian body politic, so that some people say, well, why is Zelensky talking about neutrality when clearly we're doing much better than the Kremlin expected we would in a military face-off? So there are a lot of different interpretations of this move, Aaron. But certainly one that I have heard various analysts mention is that actually possibly, this is pure speculation, of course, but that the Kremlin might not be so pleased with the way the military offensive has gone so far, and to avoid a bloodbath in Kiev itself, where you would have a lot of people with weapons stocked at home. They obviously don't have howitzers and Grad missiles, but they could still make life very unpleasant for troops in the streets, to put it mildly. To avoid that kind of scenario, that perhaps the Kremlin is somehow looking for a way out as well. But again, this is just speculation, Aaron. I think we'll have to see a lot of different possibilities, and we really, there's not any sort of one obvious take on this apparent offer of talks in Belarus.
All right, Armen, well, we'll follow that as it evolves. Thank you very much for that update, Armen Georgian.